If you've played the tutorial, you will know that the goal of the game is to kill the enemy nexus. The map is designed with your own nexus and the enemies in opposite corners, and connecting them is 3 lanes, top, mid and bot. Each lane also has towers that prevent you from running into the enemy's base, so one of your goals will be clearing out these towers. Your enemies will try to defend these, and so often to make any progress towards the enemy's base, you will first have to defeat them in combat so you can destroy towers while the enemies respawn. To win these combats, you're going to want to be as strong as possible, and there are 2 key ways to make yourself stronger in League of Legends: money and experience. So to recap, we want money and experience so we are strong and can kill the enemies, which will allow us to kill their towers and eventually kill their nexus, winning the game. So let's start with the first of those 2 ways to get stronger: gold. Your main source of income will be killing these cute little guys. They spawn in waves and will walk down the lanes, and landing the killing blow on them will give you some gold. I want to emphasize that this is your primary income, so it's very important to kill as many as possible. Last hitting will take some practice, so don't be discouraged at first if you're missing a lot, but just do your best to get the hang of it. Killing enemies and killing enemy towers will provide a sizable amount of gold. It's also worth knowing that before 14 minutes you can earn gold by destroying turret plating, which is done by doing damage to the tower in your lane. When the health bar goes below each of these lines, you and any teammate in the vicinity will get some gold. Lastly, you will also be passively earning some gold the whole game, at a rate of roughly 2 gold per second. This gold in your bank, shown here, doesn't make you any stronger, but what it does do is it allows you to spend it in the shop to get items that will make you stronger. At any point in a game, if you want to spend money in the shop, you can start by pressing B to go back to the base. This will take 8 seconds, and if anything does damage to you, it will be interrupted, so try to do this in a safe location. This is called recalling, and once it's complete, you will be in your base, and you can press P to open the shop and buy an item. Don't worry about the scary amounts of choice here. For now, stay in the recommended tab of the shop and buy any of the items shown to you here. Each completed item is made up of lots of cheaper but much less powerful items. Usually when you arrive in base, you won't have enough to buy an entire item, as most items are worth over 2,000 gold, and we will be aiming to base with less than 2,000 gold, as we want to be making sure our money is used and not lingering in our bank doing nothing. While I won't explain every item, it's good to know that some items do have an active. This means when you press the button associated with the inventory slot they are in, they will do something. There are also consumables. These are actives with a one-time use effect that will be gone once you have used them, such as potions and wards. At the start of each game, you will very likely be recommended to get a health potion, as well as a starter item that is dependent on the lane you are playing. So try and remember to drink your health potion at some point in the early game to keep you nice and healthy. So you get gold from last hitting minions, killing enemies and their towers, and you can spend it in the base for items that will make you stronger. Hopefully that's all making some sense so far. Next up, let's look at the other way to get stronger: XP. XP, much like gold, is acquired from minions and enemy deaths, but the good news here is you don't have to last hit them to get the XP when they die. XP will fill up this bar on your HUD, and once it's full, you gain a level, which will upgrade most of your stats and also allow you to improve or unlock one of your abilities. To start the game, you'll be level 1, and so will only be able to unlock one ability, but by level 3, you'll usually have your 3 basic abilities unlocked. Your 4th ability is your ultimate, and it will usually be a much more powerful ability with a longer cooldown. This will be unlocked at level 6. All characters will also have a 5th ability that is constantly having an effect, called a passive, but you don't have to worry about using these because it will always have the effect without you having to press a button. All champs also have an auto attack, which is the attack you automatically do when you target an enemy with your cursor. This is what a lot of champions will use to kill minions, and to mix in with their abilities in a fight. While we're on the topic of abilities and also looking at the HUD, you will see this blue bar below your health bar on most champions you play. This is your mana bar, and using spells will cost some mana. If you are ever low on mana, you will be unable to use abilities that cost too much mana. In this case, it's a good idea to head back to base by recalling by pressing B as we did before for going shopping. We will also get our health back in base, so if we're ever low on health, it's also a good idea. Basically, if you need to heal, get more mana, or buy items, then recalling is the way to go. So that's how levels and abilities work. Leveling up gives you important stats like health and more damage, and also lets you unlock and improve each of your abilities. Each ability will cost mana to use, and when you're out of mana, you can go back to base. Not too complicated. Time to look at something a bit more complicated, and that's the jungle. League is a 5v5 game, but as you may have noticed, there's only 3 lanes. So where do the extra 2 players go? Well, one of them goes to help out in the bottom lane, sharing the experience but not taking any of the gold, meaning there will be 2 people on each team in this lane, one earning an income and the other doing their best to support them. The last member of each team will roam the jungle, which is this area between the lanes. The jungle does not have any minions in, and so their golden experience income is replaced by killing jungle camps, which will automatically replenish every so often. They will also be expected to occasionally go to people's lanes and help. So in a game, one person will go top lane, one person goes mid lane, one person goes bot lane and kills the minions, and the one person goes bot lane and does not kill the minions, and the last person will go around the map killing jungle camps and helping people out. At some point during all of this, the thought might have crossed your mind, what happens if you die? The good news is, death is not permanent. Once you are dead, your respawn timer starts counting down, you will respawn quicker at the start of the game, and by the end of the game, you will have to wait quite a long time before getting back onto the map. You will respawn in your base with full mana and health, ready to get back and fight some more. One thing you can do to stop yourself getting too bored while you respawn is to look at the scoreboard that can be accessed by pressing tab. This displays everyone's kills, deaths, assists, along with their level and items. You can also see how well they have been killing minions or jungle camps using this number. A higher number will normally equate to more income and more items. The enemy's stats on the scoreboard are only updated when they appear somewhere you can see them, so their information may be outdated. You will also notice these 2 square icons next to each person and a pair of runic symbols. These are important choices a player has made before getting into game, so let's have a look at what they are now. The 2 square icons are called summoner spells. These are exceptionally powerful spells with long cooldowns that everyone has access to, but you can only choose 2 to use each game. There's only 9 of them, so let's go through them really quickly. Flash, this is the most common that almost everyone will use. It lets you instantly blink a short distance during a fight, very useful to escape a dangerous situation, dodge some damage, or chase down an enemy. Teleport lets you teleport to a friendly ward, minion, or tower over a short duration, which lets you get around the map much quicker. Heal heals you and a teammate and gives you a burst of speed. Ignite deals damage and reduces the amount of enemy healing. Exhaust slows and makes an enemy deal less damage. Cleanse lets you get rid of almost any effect that stops you from moving. Barrier gives you a shield. Ghost gives you a boost in move speed for a couple of seconds, and lastly Smite. This one's a bit weird because you absolutely 100% have to take this when playing jungle, and you cannot take it in any other role. It does a very large amount of damage to monsters and can be used in a pinch to do a small amount of damage to enemies and slow them a small amount. Now, don't worry at all if you don't remember those. The main thing to remember here is they exist and you can pick any 2 of these to take into the game during the champion select. Champion select is the phase before you start playing the game on the map, where you and your team will choose who you want to play, who you want to ban, and choose your summoner spells and runes. Wait, runes? What are those? Those were the little symbols we saw on the scoreboard. For now, don't worry too much about what each rune does, but it's good to understand that they will often complement the playstyle of a champion and help make you stronger in different ways. To begin with, I would always recommend clicking on whatever the recommended runes are for your champion, but once you get more confident with understanding how stuff works, it can be really fun to make your own combinations of runes for the champions you enjoy playing. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So to clarify, champ select is before the game. At the start, the game will tell you what lane you're going to play. You ban a champ you don't want the enemy to play, and this means no one on either team can play this champion. Teams will then take turns picking the champs they want to play, then everyone will have some time to choose the summoner spells and runes they want, and maybe choose a pretty skin to use. For now, we'll be clicking here and here to receive the recommended runes and summoner spells for our champion, and then we'll be in the loading screen and onto the map. We are really nearly there, but there's still some important strategic things I should touch on. The first of these is objectives. I'm afraid I lied to you earlier about there being only 2 ways to get stronger. There is a secret third option, and that is objectives. These are large monsters that will spawn on the map, giving the team that kills them either a temporary or permanent bonus. They will spawn along the river. This is the blue path on the map which divides the map in half an even distance from both teams' bases and connects all the lanes. This means all objectives are between both teams, allowing them to fight over them for the bonuses. One of the types of objective is dragons. These will always spawn here on the bottom side of the map in this pit. They spawn every 5 minutes and each will provide a small bonus based on the element they represent, but the real power lies in collecting 4 dragons. Whichever team gets to 4 dragons first gets a very large permanent buff called the Dragon Soul. It's slightly different depending on the element of the last dragon slain, but all of them are very strong and most of the time the team that gets the Dragon Soul will win, making it a pretty reliable method to win games. Once the Dragon Soul has been claimed, all dragons that spawn after it will be Elder Dragons. These give the team that kills it an extremely powerful temporary buff that will almost always allow the team to win the game in the duration of the buff. Some objectives will spawn in this pit on the top side of the map, and these vary much more than dragons, but they all contribute to helping you take towers and speeding up the game, so often very powerful objectives allowing teams to kill some enemy towers, make some money, and gain some space. If you want to keep track of how close each team is to Dragon Soul and who killed which objectives, they are all displayed on the scoreboard here. You can also see when the next objective will be spawning here, which is very useful for you to be able to plan how long you have before you need to be there. One last thing to mention here is that if you are playing jungle, it's almost always in your best interest to save one charge of smite to finish an objective, as it's the highest burst damage available, and as you will remember, whoever kills the objectives gets the bonus, and it would be very sad if the enemy steals it with just a small amount of damage going over the wall. Okay, I promise this is the last thing I'll go into any sort of detail about, and that's wards. You will notice most of the map is in fog of war, meaning you can't see what's going on unless you are there yourself. This is nice to ensure enemies don't know what you are up to all the time, but it can be nice to know what your enemies are trying to do, and that's where wards come in. These are a special class of item that everyone will always have to have one equipped, and will be shown on the scoreboard here which they have selected. The yellow one, called Stealth Wards, allows you to drop a ward that grants you vision of the surrounding area, and the enemy won't be able to see it. That is, unless they swap to a red sweeper. That's the second in the special class of items, and it will allow you to clear an area of enemy wards, revealing enemies you can't see or enemy wards that are in the radius. The last of the warding items are these blue wards. They can be placed from much further away, but are not invisible and will disappear after revealing an enemy. There are also wards you can spend money to buy. These are not invisible, but will reveal any enemy stealth wards around them. This was probably the most complicated bit, so don't worry if that didn't make any sense. The main thing to take away here is that there are 3 warding items that you will need to press a button to use. The default bind is 4. The yellow one will leave an invisible ward that gives you vision around it. The red one will reveal the invisible wards and show enemies in its radius. And the blue one is a long range ward that isn't invisible and only reveals once. As a beginner player, it's a good idea just to use the yellow one, which everyone will get automatically when leaving the base at the start of the game. That is, unless you plan to play jungle or support, in which case it's good advice to swap to the red one on one of the first couple trips back to base, and get used to using it to clear out enemy wards. Don't worry too much if you forget the first couple of games, it takes a while to get into the habit of swapping. Well, that was a lot of information, and the crazy part is it's only scraping the surface of all the learning you will undergo as you learn about League of Legends. This game has a steep learning curve, so do your best to not get overwhelmed by all the things you can learn, and instead pick what you want to learn and focus on that. This is the end of all the basics, but if you want to get some advice that I wish I had had when I was new, from some basic gameplay tips to how I think it's best to learn and what to prioritize getting good at to start with, then I have made another shorter video going through that there. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck on the Rift.